Hi, everybody. My name is Honish. Welcome to part one of 3 of 2022 real estate listings. I'm the former head loss mitigator for IndyMac Bank's HELOC division. I started in 1988 doing real estate work with defaulted properties. And at the very end, I wound up as the head loss mitigator at IndyMac Bank's HELOC division. I've been a realtor, I've been an investor, I've been a developer, I've been a bank executive. I've done a lot of stuff over 30 plus years in the real estate industry. The work that I am most proud of started in 2010 when I started my first company, working independently and creating innovative marketing that many people still use to this day. That work has gotten me awards and accolades and a big coaching group. Maybe even you, if you're watching this right now on a replay because you didn't show up on the Tuesday coaching call. Today, I'm going to talk about 2022 and why the message has changed and using what Home Advocates was actually designed for and putting that content physically into play. Simple enough. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it today. What I want to focus on is the facts, where this is going, and what you should really be aware of. I want to start quickly looking at housing inventory. So back at the pandemic start, which is March 2020, we had about 1 million properties. Previous to that point in the industry, we had anywhere from 1 million to 1.3 million. It always seemed to be like an average number. It always varied a little bit up and down, but it always hovered somewhere around 1 million, maybe a high as 1.4 directly at those points. And then we saw a decline starting in March of 2020, which is the beginning of the pandemic. There was a brief moment where they kind of increased and then they slowly stopped. So what happened? Why was there a dramatic drop, which has caused the appreciation in the market? Well, I've spent the better part of my Christmas vacation studying and reviewing this question for you so that we can have a discussion about it. And the reality is those people stopped selling and people stopped listing because of the pandemic, basically. And the pandemic hasn't ended, so those people haven't returned to the market. It's as simple as that. Now with the decrease, well, we'll talk about it all in just a second. We need to talk about why people are selling, right? So that we can focus you in 2022. I don't really care what direction you take. If you're watching this video, you should be aware of what's happening and what I think is your best opportunity to get a listing or deal, but you are free to make up your own mind. I am here to represent facts. These aren't things I think, these are things I know. People stopped listing because of the pandemic. That's what created the supply issue. There wasn't an increased demand issue. Investors have been around for a while. In fact, the only real thing on the market right now, demand-wise, are investors who want to buy real estate. That is the highest demand. These aren't traditional people. While they exist, that's true. They are out there. The highest demand is coming from investors who want property that they can rent or Verbo or Airbnb. That's the bottom line. Okay, we can paint this up, we can dress it down. Somewhere between 500,000 to 1 million people who were in the position to sell and or that sort of revolving number just stopped because of the pandemic, which takes us to the point. People are only selling, right, because of actual triggers. Sorry, I was looking at the screen and trying to figure out why stuff is up in gray. But the first is equity, right? So people are taking advantage of the current equity within the market, and they are using that as a reason to sell. That creates an additional problem. Now they have to buy and take advantage of that equity and or save it. And what we've discovered, and we'll go back to what happened before the news media cycles changed. the conditions that existed in the market before Christmas vacation or Thanksgiving, which is where it started, have not changed, right? People don't want to overpay in the current market. Traditional people are looking to wait it out as long as they can. Investors don't care at all. They'll buy as long as the price is right, I guess. But equity seems to be one of the driving forces for people to take advantage and sell their house. That is now an official trigger event. The second is death or probate. This has inherent problems. While it's kind of a static number that has supplied the market for a great period of time, truthfully, probate, and I have worked with probate attorneys. I've done seminars with them. I'm very familiar with them. I'm familiar with the people who do them and teach them. It's got lawyers. It's sort of the kryptonite to my banker side. And the length of time on them is staggeringly long, and it's getting a lot of people to make a lot of decisions. I try to find any solution to getting around the probate situation. I'm not sure why everybody who is near the end of their life doesn't have a will or a trust or have their kids on title and them off of title before they pass. There are many things in this world I do not understand that homeowners do because of a lack of good education. I suppose at some point I will probably include a probate section to home advocates, because I think as home advocates, we should also focus on good education for people in probate situations. The next one, which I'm oddly very familiar with, which is divorce. That's where, at least from my perspective, the other side gets all of my stuff and I start over out of a vehicle. Little fun fact. Divorce is from a perspective, right? One sale, two buy. That is the optimistic view of divorce. This is information you can purchase. You can stay on top of it. It is a trigger event to sell a house. Here is my experience. It is the story of trying to get two sides to agree to liquidate a piece of property at a price where, in general, my experience, two people who can't agree on anything at that point are trying to agree on selling and liquidating. And that becomes a whole issue unto itself. It's very emotional. It's very difficult from my perspective, but it is information you can purchase. You can focus on that group of individuals. They still exist in the marketplace. All three of these, you can get data on these three, right? You can pull data for highest equity on people, send them letters. Death, you can get probate information, public records. Divorce, same thing, public records. I know for a fact that this will be the highest demand for the 2.5 million real estate agents that continues to climb, by the way. This is now the new #1 job for 2022. I can't believe it myself. We're looking like at 2007, 8, 9, 10 numbers where we had, I think at one point, close to 3 million real estate agents. Like, we're rapidly approaching those numbers again, right? Because you can do it from home, or at least you think it's easy. Excuse me. So that's the thing. This is where the bulk of the competition is going to be looking. This and expireds, canceled. That's the other section. The other one is change of life, right? Somebody moves out, somebody moves away, Walmart's building something. These are all very real things. Change of life, you can actually use as a trigger event. You can keep up. There are websites that keep track of where the new, I don't know, Zillow plant or Amazon plant is going. It'll need housing around it, yada, yada, yada. That's a whole industry unto itself as well. There are people who strictly relocate people for business purposes to Austin or Phoenix or Arizona or wherever they go now. I don't know. They all get around. But this is certainly a thing. And it's information that you can get your hands on. And these are people who have to sell and move and relocate because of work, or maybe somebody goes to college. In my case, I recorded a bunch of episodes over 2 weeks ago with agents across the country because my daughter's going to college and I want to make sure that I'm closer to her, or at least have a place that I can go and spend a period of time closer to my daughter. And if she goes to Syracuse, then yes, I would very much like to have a place in New York and spend a month or two there and have that opportunity. So I have looked at change of life venues for myself in trying to understand relocating. And what I've learned that perhaps isn't being conveyed to people in those situations is that what you have right here, or the best bang for your buck that you have right here, might not be the best bang for the buck there. And this goes back to the equity problem, right? You're making a very small payment. You see that you have $100,000 in equity. Well, to get that equity, you're either going to refinance. There aren't very many cash out options available on doing HELOCs or seconds these days. So you're selling or refinancing. And if you're refinancing, you want to make sure to get the lowest interest rate and get that cash out, and make sure that your payment doesn't change all that dramatically. And if you look, there is a huge, still continued huge boom on people taking advantage of their equity and refinancing in a lot of situations. The other way is to sell the property, right? And when you sell and or downsize and cash out, you have to buy. And that's the problem, especially here in California, where we are completely overvalued. It is a real thing, which brings us to my point. As of January 1st, if you read the regulations, or you've been a part of this group, or you've watched my videos, I told you to wait for January 1st. January 1st is officially when all the rules changed. Failure to make payments. Now we can get into the semantics of all the numbers of how many people it would be, right? Or all the warning signs. We can go back to all of that. The reality is Wells, Chase, and B of A, as of January 1st, based on the federal regulatory guidelines that were kind of swimming under the water, forced them not to make a move until January 1st. Well, January 1st was the Saturday, right? The second was Sunday. Wednesday was the third. Today's the fourth by my measure, which means if they started to do everything as of Monday, that means that people will be receiving their notices. And again, in theory, because the FICO system has been turned off for so long, we will now start reporting people to the FICO system that are delinquent. Now, I do not believe that they're going to include people with forbearance agreements just yet. I do not believe that they are going to really focus on the 30-60 crowd just yet. I think they're going after one spot and one spot only, and that's severely delinquent people, period, right? Non-forbearance crowd. So we already know about people not wanting to move. We already know that median price is adjusting. We already know that, home buyers look to move out of Metro and did all the change. This is all stuff from November that I'm bringing you back up to speed on. We know that Zillow got out of the market. We know that Wells got out of the market. What I wanted to bring up was this chart, this green line right here, as of September. Now, there's a report, the last report I kind of saw on the subject. Dark green line is what I'm after, 90 plus. Not all of them, which we should focus on. I'm just going to focus on this. I have been told that there is only 1 million plus. So I'm going to go with the lowest figure possible here, which means they're kind of in a bit of a decline, right? Should be about 1.5 to 1 million, depending on the reports that are out. So this week, if you go with Wells, Chase, and B of A, and you say that they carry 80% of the paper of these people, generally speaking, let's even go with a lower number, 700 to 800,000 people that are going to start the process this week. That's it. That is more than the number of active listings in the United States by 300,000. Got it? This isn't a stated thing I'm thinking about. This is a fact. Wells, Chase, and BofA, as of the first, can now deal with that dark green line and 1 million people. Now, I'm assuming that they only control 80% of the people in that list, that there are still independent companies and other brokerages and things of that nature, or independent lenders and things. I mean, it could be as high as 1 million between the three of them. But whatever the case, let's just go with a low figure, 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 people starting to get their notices in the mail. This activity will start. It's a wave. Now, the market can absorb this first wave. The market should be able to absorb the massive building that's been going on, right? It should, if the demand is actual, right? But I believe as prices start to come down, we'll start to see investors not wanting to buy at higher prices. With the interest rates going up, I think people are less likely to want to buy, especially if they see prices starting to slide. And it's not going to be about what's happening in your market. San Francisco is totally different than San Diego, for goodness sakes. I live in San Diego proper, right? It's totally different than Del Mar. I understand all of that perfectly, okay? But I've said it 1 million times on here. It is based on their media perception nationally, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's just how people operate. They base it on things people tell them. They base it on things they see on the internet. So the question is, what are you producing? What are you saying to focus on these people? I'm guessing if you're watching this video, if you're one of my coaching students, there's no need to worry. If you're someone I've worked with in the past, you already know what to do. We're going in that direction. We have already started the crash, which will take about 5 years to get to the bottom of. It will. This is a fact, okay? We want to wish it away. We've created a big glut of people who are building houses right now that are all coming online in 2022. That's a lot of inventory. Talking about another 1 million properties here. You're not talking about the 1 million people that are somewhere between 30 and 90, okay? That's cool. And you're also not talking about people who haven't paid back their forbearance agreement, which is about 1 million to 1.5 million. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of housing, okay? It will, without a doubt, I don't think this, I know this for a fact, it will correct and start to depreciate many markets. And it's always been a snowball effect. Apparently, I'm the only one who remembers history because I've been through a few of these market cycles. When properties start to depreciate, people who bought at the higher prices seem to get a little bit unhappy about that. And that creates its own bizarre little snowball effect in the future. Got it? So we need to be aware of these things at the beginning and watch for the media trends. What you need to do right now is start to establish your own trends for the future. So let's go back to this. For those of you that are brand new, or you've never seen me or heard me or anything, or you're just listening to this as a podcast, I would like you to just open up Google, type in the word Home Advocates. It'll bring up a lovely search page. Click on the top link. We are the #1 search for the keywords home and advocate. And then head on over to our website. As you can see, we've updated it for 2022. As always, all of our agents are listed as advocates on the front page. I would tell all the advocates, if you're watching this, this is based on the coaching website. So if you want to go in and make changes to email addresses or what you want word-wise, you would do that under your name and under your email address on the coaching platform. Cool. Glad we could handle that. I have brought back for this week, one more week, the old events page, which I'm about to share with you guys right now, so that you guys can get one last shot at the downloads that are posted if you're not a coaching student. If you're a coaching student, you already have access to all of this, but I brought back the events page for one more week because Derek felt that many of you would be out of town, I guess, for the holidays, like with family and stuff, not like me, chained to a computer, studying charts and algorithms, trying to find out where 1 million people went who stopped selling properties. And if there were, I went through so many analytic pieces of data to try to figure out. The supply and demand thing really started to bother me at the end of the year. So I checked on the supply and I knew where it started. I had to figure out what the key to that was. And my final answer, based on all of the information that I pulled, it was based on the media telling them that COVID is going to have a huge impact. We're all locked down. That group of people is still not selling. Like, people are just not listing as much as they used to. That's a very fortunate thing to all of you that are watching this, right? Because of that fact, it's telling us the amount of media influence in what affects a homeowner. So when the media starts to talk about people who've missed payments coming up in the next week or so, which is a very actual thing because these are real trigger events that are about to occur, they will start to, look for solutions, especially if they haven't been paid. And so that is something that we physically have to look at. My answer to it would be, for everybody watching, go watch any one of the previous videos. I'm sure they're attached if this is a replay video down below, and start with the RED marketing program, right? There are 3 ways for you. Any of the data that I told you earlier, there are only 3 ways to get those listings, and we're going to cover all 3 all week. The first is digital online platforms, creating your own content, putting it in their hands, right? That is basically what we do. Here's one for Dr. Miller. I'm not doing anything special here. We didn't clean up the video all that much. What matters is getting her information in, the number of people that are reached, targeted to her area out in the valley. And those numbers don't lie. I want the engagements. I want people calling now. I want people clicking that button. It is repetition of putting out content constantly. We did the RED program at $100 a week. And basically, I am officially, ridiculously, at spending 70% of that $100 on marketing of your content. In fact, now I've got good content for everybody. I'm going to start banging it out more frequently because I already want to switch gear from the content I just sort of did to get everybody comfortable with doing content. So I want to make sure that the level of content is even higher starting this week, and getting that physical. We're going to start talking about missing payments. We're going to hammer on it. We're going to talk about alternatives to foreclosure and creating that content on a weekly basis. And we're going to make sure that when those 41 people click or involve themselves with you and your content, we start to focus on those people directly. We make it available to them. We squeeze pages. All of that stuff was included with the RED program. The link that I gave that is below on the events page that has free downloads for you to do some of the marketing we're going to be talking about this week, there is a link for RED. This is strictly because of the CEO thinking that some of you were out of town. There is no way I would have continued this into the first of the year, nor did I have any interest of continuing it into the first of the year. I have 10 people right now, okay? And those 10 people need video editing, video placement, and everything else. There are a couple of people who said they were interested, and Derek sort of keeps this thing alive as the CEO. I know I say it because I keep getting my legs cut out from underneath me on this topic. This is all over. I'm going to charge $500 a week starting next week. That's it. And if you don't sign up this week, then you have nobody to blame when the price goes to $500 next week. Got it? And it is exactly what it appears to be on the screen. We're going to try to keep these to 11 minutes, or at least cut them down to 11 minutes, because that's a sweet spot. We want to create dialogue. We want to create rapport with the people that are watching it. And if you're not listening to me or hearing me thinking I'm telling you a sales pitch, I'm not. This is video you can create on your own. You can keep up on the current topics. You can, as a person in our coaching group, I'm telling you what's happening in the market and the messages that will work. I'm using it in real time. You're looking at real statistics. I mean, that's the reality of that situation. So with all that said, don't take my word for it. Take Antonio's. Hey, we were just talking about the Red Marketing Program, everyone, and we just finished another one for Antonio, who now, over just a couple of videos, is rapidly approaching his first 1,000 viewers at $100 a week, which we were laughing about. That's guaranteed. Oh, sorry. With a listing, because I do get those kind of referrals into the pipeline. What is it from your perspective that the reluctance is of other people in the program joining this?
I think maybe they're a little shy being on camera, but I'm on recording, but you get over it, man. You get over it. And every episode you're gonna get better and better. And you just throw out all the stuff You're a good realtor, you got a good heart. It's easy. Just go out and share what you know and answer the questions Lee puts it on. But further on the side, I mean, look, it's $100 a week. I was thinking right off the bat, I go, man, I know Lee knows all this background stuff on the background of all this YouTube and all that good stuff to get him out there. I don't have time to learn that, but I do want to get my point across, and I do want to be exposed to more. And we spend $100 in crazy things every week.
Oh my gosh.
Invest it in yourself, man. Invest it in yourself. Join, do something with it. Call Lee. Man, I'm telling you, it's the beginning, but I can see that it's just going to grow more and more to good things, and it's just going to make you look good ultimately, and you're going to get deals out of it.
You've been around me for a long time, so we already know how this plays out. Well, once I get it perfected and I know exactly what the numbers are based on track record, and it goes to 500 a week, which it's still a deal. I would say you and I both, still be a deal. That's the reality. Still be a deal. 100% guaranteed to get you a listing within the first 90 days. If it does not, listing. I said listing. If it does not, we will refund 100% of your investment, and we'll give you the entire year of digital marketing for free. That's how confident I am in the Red program. We do get those kind of referrals anyway. So you're basically getting a deal out of this, plus all of that content as well. Can't make it any easier than that. This week, we'll be doing a 3-part. That was today on digital marketing. Tomorrow, we'll be on direct marketing. And the third day, I'll tease it again, right? The face-to-face method. What do you do? We're going to talk about the tap card and or using the business card effectively to build your list.